Hey folks, how's it going? Sorry I haven't been uploading lately. I've just been busy with in real life matters, which means that I've been working too long and not having much time to myself. Whilst rooting out storage objects, come across two very interesting books. The first one is this, The Deep Space Nine Companion by Terry J. Erdman with Paula M. Block. I've had this since 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2000. I do quite a lot of reading in my old age, and when I was younger, this was probably one of two books I read book to book, which I actually enjoyed. Now, what this does is basically you've got two parts. So you've got the part for the actual show, and then I have a part for the production / behind the scenes writing input, etc. Also, it gives you detailed account of how the ships were made and drawn up and the models that was used, etc. Although Deep Space Nine did start using CGI more than models. And it goes to show that fate has been nice to me. Andrew J. Robertson, Garrick, is perhaps one of the most favourite characters in Star Trek. He kind of had the menace of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Mr. Smiley, but got the wit of maybe M in James Bond. That's my opinion of it. Basically, you didn't know really what he was all about until the very end of the show, which is a shame, really. If you are a Star Trek Deep Space Nine fan, I'm sure you'll be able to pick one of these up quite easily and quite cheaply. I personally don't watch much Star Trek as much as I used to, mainly because I'm busy doing other things. I mean, don't get me started about Star Trek Discovery or Voyager. Strange New Worlds, I should say, or Picard. I mean, for me, a tragedy was the fact that Enterprise got cancelled after 4 seasons, even though it started to become quite excellent, in my opinion, although let's not go there. Oh yes, the mirror episode. This is the thing with Deep Space Nine, at least it did try something new. I mean, Star Trek traditionally was going into space in a spaceship. This was more political based drama than anything, although some of the episodes were quite cleverly done. I like the crossover episodes. It's nice to see how the actors and actresses, well, whatever it is now, I don't want to keep up, actually can portray something quite different to what they would normally portray, obviously, during a normal episode. Now, when Star Trek Deep Space Nine ended, there hasn't been anything, in my knowledge anyway, to carry on with the story of what happened to Bajor after the war and after the, Cisco returned to the Celestial Temple, etc. Not sure how it is now, because I think Picard might have had Avery Brooks Cisco in there, although I don't know, because I've never really looked into it and I don't watch Picard. I think Picard should have been done a little bit differently, but again, that's my humble opinion of it. If you like Deep Space Nine, you like reading, you like to see what the nuts and bolts of the actors, commenting on each episode or the scenes, etc., this is quite an interesting read. I would probably lean towards that. If you read this before watching the TV show or read it during the TV show, you'd probably understand more that was going on. The trials and tribulations. Oh yes, Kirk and Spock with Cisco and Jadzia in the background. This is when this was a lot better than the Voyager outing with obviously Sulu, but again, it's all depending on what do you like watching most. The original series, Deep Space Nine, the flashbacks. This was kind of just a time travel episode of sorts. But yeah, enjoyable to read. Quite a thick book at that. And most importantly, it gives you detailed descriptions of behind the scenes and obviously production issues that might have occurred, obviously, for running a Star Trek TV show. That's number 1. Now, my second book, The Star Trek Encyclopedia, A Reference Guide to the Future. So it was the late 90s. I was in a car boot sale and I was walking back down to the car park, and basically the top page, it just kind of blew like that, and I noticed it at the corner of my eye, and I said, hang on, I know what this is. So I tootled over it. I think it was about £2 or £2.50 I give. I read this from cover to cover when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I should say. And most importantly, I enjoyed every minute of it. Now, this only led up to, I think, 1994. So it was borderline the end of Generations. And where are we? Come on, I just seen it a second ago. 1994, April. So Generations could have probably just been released by then. It does have a mention of Star Trek Voyager, but basically 2 sentences and that's it. And it was just basically Star Trek Voyager. The Galaxy-class starship, my favourite. The Ambassador, obviously, Enterprise C. There's basically a lost portion of Star Trek. So obviously you've got the original series, and then obviously you got the Next Generation, but nothing really covering these 2 areas of the Excelsior and obviously the Enterprise C, with Captain Rachel Garrett in charge. I could go on about Star Trek ships, but I'm not going to do it because it's just fairly not interesting, for my opinion, to be said about that matter. But if Star Trek ever did a series in between Excelsior and obviously Enterprise, I would probably like to sit down and watch that, especially the Enterprise C era. Yeah, obviously this is old now. I mean, you're looking at 27 years old. So yeah, 3 years from now, it'll be a 30-year-old book that I'll own. Lucky me. Don't think I will read it from cover to cover again, but it's nice to have a bit of a reference now and again. Again, not sure how much these would cost, mainly because that I wouldn't sell this even if I was offered £1 million, because it reminds me of my childhood. Well, adolescence, I should say. But if you're starting to get into Star Trek, or you want to have references to see how things were back in the day, then this is the book for you. Again, I wouldn't necessarily, well, that's my piece of paper that I used to use for my bookmarking. That's going back a couple of years. Let's hope there's nothing on there worth noting. I don't think there is anything wrong in having this book. I mean, well, any book's really a good read. But if you're into Star Trek, yep, go and get it. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope I hope I've educated you a little bit about the matter, and I'll see you on the next video.